Okay, good morning, everyone. It's already been an hour, so hope you can stay in tune. Actually, we had amazing singing and performances, and let's give another hand to the Heavenly Yusa team, and thank you. Yeah. Okay, so this month, I've been doing a spiritual health series in terms of sermons. And as you know, last week, actually a couple weeks ago, we covered the 3 stages of resurrection. Do you guys remember that? The first stage, you need to really base it on studying and obeying God's word. Takino-san was kind of saying this, divide yourself, right? So you need God's word in order to really know what's actually good and what's not. So that's the foundation level. Second stage is really receiving God's grace, right? You need to be able to receive God's grace, and the final stage is really attending God with this desire to make him happy. So that was 2 weeks ago. Last week we had Mark Curry. She came and she shared about receiving God's grace. And as you know, we're in the season of grace, and it's really a beautiful time. It's an important, actually, it takes humility to receive God's grace. Sometimes we feel like we don't deserve it or we don't need it, but it's really important to really acknowledge our limitations so that we can also receive God's grace. And today, I wanted to cover the topic of spring cleaning your heart. How many of you guys like spring? Okay, so the rest of you, you'll just wait till another season. But yeah, I actually enjoy spring. Before, fall was my favorite season because I was a cross-country runner, and that was in the fall. I liked the cool breeze and things like that. But spring, I've come to appreciate it more. Really, the thing that I like most about spring is this sense of new beginning. You know, I can start whatever happened in the past. That was winter time. Now it's spring. So, you know, there's a chance to start again, anew. So today I want to go into 3 kind of main parts. I want to first explain from Father and Mother Moon's perspective, what is springtime? What is the significance of spring? Then I want to go into how to spring clean your house. Yes. If you want to clean, you want to embrace spring, you need to learn how to clean your house. And then we're going to go into the deeper point, which is how to spring clean your heart. Okay, so those are the 3 things I like to cover today. So the meaning of springtime, let's read together. Well, actually, I'll read for you, but you can read with your eyes. This is one of my favorite quotes. This is from Mother Moon. Daffodils are the harbingers of spring. As the first flowers to pierce through the frozen ground after withstanding the cold of winter, they herald the coming of warmth and new life. I'm always amazed at this providence displayed by Mother Nature and by the strength of the sprouts that appear where snow still remains. I most appreciate the little daffodil whose humble, unassuming bloom breaks the spell of the cold winter. You know, this imagery of this dainty little yellow flower breaking through the ice to welcome the spring. You know, this is kind of what Mother likes about daffodils. Called to be the only begotten daughter and true mother, my path is to break through the icy grip of human sin and help bring God's blessing to the world. I often identify with this lovely flower. This is from her Mother of Peace memoir. So I can really see why Mother likes the daffodil, because she feels very close to kind of the role that the daffodil has to like bring in, introduce springtime. Mother feels like her role is to introduce this new era of peace in the world, but she has to break through winter time that we're kind of in to really bring God's blessing to the world. So yeah, breaking through, that's the first point I want to mention about spring, is it's a time of breaking through the winter time. So you got to think, what are some winter time things that you still are holding on to that you need to break through in this time of spring. Second point, let's read. Spring signifies freshness and newness. I love spring, as it is a season of hope. Spring brings with it the expectation that as we leave the cold winter behind, our days will be vibrant with life. It awakens our dreams. So the second point I want to mention about spring is the time of freshness, of newness, of hope, and of dreams. Okay? I know how many of you guys are still dreaming. Do you guys still have dreams? I mean like dreams as in like goals in life, not like when you sleep. I'm not talking about that dreams. I'm talking about dreams like, I want to do this in my life. I want to fulfill this. Anyone still have dreams in their life? Okay, good. That means you're alive, okay? If you don't have dreams, then you might as well be dead. I mean, the whole point is to really strive for something in your life. And spring is a good time to really feel this kind of newness and hope towards your dreams. Finally, now we have ushered in the springtime of the providence. Spring is the busiest time for farmers. They must do their utmost to ensure an abundant harvest in the fall. Anyone here experience farming? Oh, surprising, actually. My parents were farmers. My grandparents were farmers. My dad. My dad was used to work on the farm when he was little, and his parents before him. But apparently spring is the busiest time for farmers. In the providential spring, we need to construct the original world that God planned to realize from the beginning. So spring is not only time of newness, of breaking through the winter time, but it's also apparently the busiest time to prepare for an ample harvest in the future. So these are 3 key points I want to mention about Father and Mother's words about spring. Now let's move on to the next part, spring cleaning time. Okay. So there's one quote that I want to read about spring cleaning. Actually, by the way, how many did your spring cleaning yet? I want to know. How many? Okay, we got about 10 people. Okay, that's good. That means this is perfect for you guys. This will help you to get your mind ready for spring cleaning. Okay, this is Father's words, Father Moon. Morning service is a ceremony of reporting your life to heaven. We must make every Sunday morning the moment which our children are eager for. And on Saturdays, we must clean house, and then the whole family should happily gather at a set time. This was an interesting thought of cleaning as a way for preparing for a holy day, right? So spring is kind of a new beginning. Even this whole holy special grace period is a time of really cleansing for a new beginning. So I thought cleaning our house during this time is also very important. We can actually practice this. And I remember even in my family, once a year, when I was growing up, we used to do an annual cleaning. And I remember cleaning the windows. That was my job. But this is a really good preparation by cleaning your external environment to prepare your heart for something that's holy. Okay, you heard this last time, but I also experienced the Kondo cleaning method. Anyone know Marie Kondo? Yeah, okay. So it's on Netflix for those who don't know. So I actually, 3 years ago, I actually practiced this and applied this in my home cleaning. And I want to share this with you because I think this is what you can do to clean your house before May 5th or May 6th, okay? So this is perfect timing. You got 2 weeks, guys, 2 weeks. Okay, first thing, go through all your stuff in order by key categories. Okay, clothes, books and papers, and miscellaneous. Let's say there's 3 main categories. Then you gather each category in one space. So I know Pastor Nancy shared about her experience doing this. I also did this. So starting with clothes, not everyone's clothes, just your clothes. Each person has to do their own, okay? Bring all your clothes and put it on your bed. See how much clothes you have, okay? You just bring it all in one space. Then, here's the key. You need to find among your pile one piece of clothing that you really like. This becomes your standard. So you pick your favorite shirt or favorite dress, say, oh, this makes me feel good. So this becomes now the standard. So you put it aside, and then you hold each of the remaining items on your bed one by one. And you have to ask, do I feel joy when I hold this piece of clothes? If not, we put it aside. One by one. You put it aside, one by one. The ones that you still like, you keep, like this. You'll be amazed. Maybe if you had 100 pieces of clothing, you'll remain maybe 10 things, okay? But this is really important because we keep things for many reasons. Oh, maybe I don't really like it, but maybe I can use it later, or maybe if I was 10 years younger, I'd fit into this. Maybe I'll lose 10 pounds, you know. But the problem with holding on to clothes that are not currently fitting you or that's currently bringing you joy is that every time you look at that, you're like, oh man, I'm so fat. It doesn't bring you joy, right? It actually brings you depression. So you need to let it go. You need to let it go, okay? So it's really important which item brings you joy today, now. Okay, don't talk about the past. You need to get to the present and find which clothes really bring you joy today. Then you keep it to the side. Everything else, you need to let go. But the thing is, this is really important. I think it's in my, let's see. Yes, step 4. You need to appreciate the things that you are not keeping. This is really important. It's not that, okay, you are good, these clothes are bad. No, these clothes served a purpose. Maybe in the past, or maybe in that moment when you purchased it on that binge, right? But in that moment, it served a purpose. So you want to acknowledge them and say, thank you for serving me for however long, but now I will let you go. So you need to appreciate the clothes that you're letting go, okay? And then keep the ones that bring you joy. And final step, now you have a much smaller pile. And the key to making this work is you need to fold it. There's a whole technique. You got to watch the Netflix video. But technique to fold so that each item, when you open your drawer, you can see how many items you have. So if you fold it nicely, you'll say, oh, I have 10 underwear. I have 5 shirts. You can easily see the way that you organize. And that way, the beauty of this process is that you literally have, in my mind, I knew how many pieces of clothing I had each category. And all the pieces I knew I kept because it brings me joy. Meaning, my clothes bring me joy. Every piece that I'm wearing is infused with joy. So that's the kind of environment I'm creating by doing that. And it was really a good process of letting go things of the past. And the beauty of it was, at the end of the day, I had so much more space in my closet, in my jars, just so much more space. And I felt more open to receiving new things in life. Okay? So although this is an external cleaning method, you can apply the same process for your internal cleaning of your heart. Okay, so we're going to go through this next. So how do we apply cleaning your heart, right? And you might think, what do you mean by cleaning your heart? It's not messy or full, or is it? Actually, our hearts accumulate so many memories, both good and bad. Past mistakes, regrets, happy moments, sad moments. And actually, it accumulates clutter. We accumulate clutter in our hearts. And because it's so full of so many different kinds of things, it actually can feel overwhelming, right? So it's really important that we take the time to sort out our heart. All the feelings and things we have in our heart, we need to sort it and be able to keep the good memories and appreciate but let go the past pains that are holding us back for our future. Does that make sense? All right? Okay, for example, maybe you tried something and you failed and you're afraid of failing again. So you don't want to. So you're holding on to this failure and it's preventing you from trying again. So that actually memory of the past is actually preventing you to enjoy today or even preventing your future. Maybe you did something that you regretted and you accuse yourself. You hate yourself for doing something that you feel bad about. If you're not able to acknowledge and let that go, you'll continue to judge yourself. Or, last example, maybe someone hurt you and you're holding on to that pain and resentment towards that person that you hate, that hurt you. That also can hold you back from going forward. So it's so important that we take a time to clean our hearts in order to move forward. Okay, so how do we do that? It's similar, but it's not the same as, the condo cleaning. So I'm going to go into the Bible for a reference point. Do you guys remember the story of Abraham making the offerings? What did Abraham have to offer? Do you guys remember? Dove, the ram, and the heifer. Not in that order. It's the opposite order. Let's read. Abram brought all these to him, cut them in two, and arranged the halves opposite each other. The birds, however, he did not cut in half. And then what happened after Abraham didn't cut the doves in half? That's right. As the sun was setting, Abram fell into a deep sleep, and a thick and dreadful darkness came over him. Then the Lord said to him, "Know for certain that for 400 years your descendants will be strangers in a country not their own, and that they will be enslaved and mistreated there." Wow, that sucks. I mean, you didn't cut a dove in half and now 400 years of slavery for your descendants? Kind of seems unfair, right? So we need to look more deeply into the meaning behind the cutting of the doves. If you actually read the rest of the verse, it's interesting. God says, "But I will punish the nation that serve as slaves. They serve as slaves. And afterward they will come out with great possessions. You, however, will go to your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. In the 4th generation, your descendants will come back here." So it's interesting. Even though he kind of cursed Abraham, he also said, "But don't worry, blessing will still come to your descendants eventually. Just it's been prolonged. By the way, you'll be fine, You'll be buried at a good old age." When the sun had set and darkness had fallen, a smoking fire pot with a blazing torch appeared and passed between the pieces. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram and said, "To your descendants I give this land." So it's interesting because God still accepted the offering even though it was incomplete. The burning, the smoking fire pot and blazing torch means it was offered. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Because usually when I was growing up with the story, I was always taught that cut the dove, make sure you cut the dove, otherwise you will be punished. That was how I was taught from this story. But actually, if you read the further verses, God still accepts Abram's offering, even though it was incomplete, and gives him another chance later. So God still, despite our limitations, wants to bless us and bless our future. So, how do we do this? How do we apply this message to our life? First step is you need to divide your offering to God. What does that mean? What does this symbolize? Cutting the animals in half. Actually, let me go back. I already showed it. But why did God ask people to cut animals in half? Seems quite nefarious, I guess. Why would God ask people to cut their animals in half in the Bible? Very good. Separate good and evil. That's what it represented. By cutting it in half, you're separating good and evil. So, what that means, how we apply it to our lives is when we do something, we need to reflect and divide what happened, what was good about what happened, what wasn't so good about what happened. You know, many times we're so busy with life, we don't take time to reflect, right? Or even pray to offer the day to God. But in our prayer to God, we need to report what was good today, what was not so good. Without dividing it, you can't make a clean offering. That's why symbolically God asked to divide both victories, divide the animals, but we can apply the same process by identifying what we did good, what we didn't. Second, identify what you learned and offer it up in a prayer, repentance, and gratitude. So, those who know, after they cut it in half, in the ceremony, what happens? It says in the Bible there's a step. After you cut the animals in half, what do you do with the pieces? Lay one over the other. Which one? It says lay, I don't know if it says specifically in the Bible, but I believe it says lay the right side over the left. What does that mean? Why lay one side over the other after you cut it? It means that you're offering the victories over also your failures, and guess what? Both sides are offered and burned up together. Not just the good side. Actually, you need to offer both sides and burn it. So the same thing with us. When we report to God, we don't just report the good things. You know, when we're little kids, we only say, oh, I did my homework. I also beat up my sister. But anyway, I did my homework. We only report the good things. But actually, it's so important that we report both the good and the bad. But we need to reflect on to be able to differentiate what was good and bad. And then we can offer it up together. And based on that, we can recommit to taking new action to allow God's blessing to flow. So it's not about never making any mistakes, okay? I want to be clear about this. It's really important to be able to reflect on a regular basis, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, reflect on what happened, divide what was good, what could have been better, learn from those mistakes, and then offer it up with gratitude and repentance. Then you're clean. Your heart's clean. And you have space for new inspiration to go forward in your life. You know, I was trying to think of like an example for myself. Actually, my wife is really good at helping me identifying the doves that I haven't cut. I don't know if anyone can relate here, but so I remember one day, I haven't been doing the dishes. I know I share a lot of dish stories, but that's my one chore. So I do the dishes, and it piled up over 3 days. So we have a big pile of dishes, right? And I know I'm supposed to do it, but I was busy. So anyway, finally, Finally, I got to doing the dishes, did all of it. The sink is clear. And I'm so proud of myself, right? I'm proud of myself, but also kind of wanting to know her reaction. So I'm sitting on my couch, watching as she gets up, and she walks to the kitchen. The pans are not done. So in my heart, I'm like, ah! You know, it's kind of like God pointing out to Abraham, you know, you missed the doves. Of course, I want to be acknowledged for what I did do, right? I'm sure Abraham was like, hey, I cut this big heifer, this cow, and this sheep. You know, it's just doves. But if you reflect more deeply, and I had to really reflect on this point after I was upset, of course, but if I really try to see my wife from God's viewpoint, how much does God love my wife? Probably more than me, right? Well, I'm working on it. But God probably sees, you know, the struggles that she's having. You know, maybe she's also missing my attention because I'm so busy doing work, right? Maybe she needs the pans clean so she can prepare the meal for the kids. If I was really thinking not just, oh, I need to do my job, but if I was thinking from God's viewpoint, really thinking through what's going through her heart, then I would have joyfully also washed the pans and had it ready and maybe do something extra. That's the point about really cutting the dove, is going all in, seeing everything from God's viewpoint instead of just because I have to do it. And when you do that, you can make a complete offering. One other funny story. Yesterday, I just went and I gave my wife a hug. And it was interesting. Her response to me was, yeah, she gave me this look like, what do you want, right? But, and then she was also like, what, was this on your checklist? And she knows me well, actually. I do list all the things I need to do. But fortunately, that time it wasn't on my checklist. I said, honey, this didn't make the checklist. I just wanted to do something nice, you know, something like that. But anyway, point is, we need to clean our hearts, and to make a complete offering, we need to divide the good and the bad and offer. Okay, one last point I'd like to share, and then we'll wrap up here. This is a final verse. Even though a person may have some regrets from the past year, as long as he has hope and vision and determination to launch into the goal for the new year, that man can go on. If he has no vision and hope, however, that man is finished. The greater the hope or sunshine, the greater are the obstacles or darkness to overcome. You think of sunshine as being bright because you already recognize the darkness. Because of darkness, you can appreciate brightness, and in that position, you can conquer darkness. So this is a really precious point I felt I wanted to convey, is that, you know, many times we feel bad about the things we did wrong. But the fact that you can acknowledge that that was wrong can actually help you become better in the future, right? So take everything, both the good and the bad. As long as you're learning from your mistakes, it actually can be used for good. So don't feel depressed or kind of that you're not doing everything right. Just use everything as an opportunity to learn and grow. This verse here, the greater the hope or sunshine, you know, we have the biggest dream. We have God's dream to create ideal, blessed central families. That's a big dream. You know, building a peaceful world based on these blessed families. That's a big dream. That's God's dream. That's the greatest dream. The greater the dream, the greater the obstacles, the greater the darkness. So see that we have a big dream. Know that there are naturally going to be challenges, and it's okay. We'll work through them, keep pursuing that dream, and we will eventually get there. So in summary, springtime is a time for breaking through the past, finding hope in new beginnings, and preparing well for an ample harvest. You can apply the Kondo method to clean your house, sort that, and in order to clean your heart, identify both the victories and failures, learn from your mistakes, and make a fresh new commitment. So the reflection for today is, what is one regret or past failure that you would like to break through? Something that you're holding on to. And the challenge for this week is to set aside 2 to 3 hours to plan your spring cleaning of your house and of your heart. And next week, I'm going to be sharing on the science of spiritual growth. So, in conclusion, it's springtime, and I really want to encourage all of our members here. Please take the time to first clean your house, make it nice, and use that as a foundation for also taking the time to reflect on what is it that's holding me back from really feeling joyful in my life. What is it that I'm holding on to? Past experiences, stress from my boss, whatever it is, incomplete promises between me and my spouse. You need to assess what's holding you back from living fully today. So please take the time to reflect, think about what's good right now in your life, what could be better, and offer it together in prayer to God. And that way, we have a fresh, clean start, and there'll be much more space for God's love and blessing to flow in your life. Thank you very much.